Perched on towering cliffs among the clouds where only birds dare to land, lie structures that leave humanity in awe. Hanging houses clinging to sheer mountain faces. Ancient coffins suspended in mid-air, and temples hidden deep within stone. They appear like surreal dreams woven into reality. These creations defy not only gravity, but also the limits of modern understanding. Even with today's advanced technology, many engineers still shake their heads in wonder, asking, how did ancient people build such marvels? These are not mere buildings. They are imprints of an era when determination and faith could overcome all constraints. And this journey of discovery is more than just travel. It's a passage through time, allowing us to touch the mysteries that remain untouched amidst nature's grandeur. Mount Imei is about 100 feet high and sits between the Sichuan Plain and the Tibetan Plateau, where the terrain and climate change quickly. The area includes ancient forests, waterfalls, clouds, and Buddhist temples built along the mountain slopes. A legend says this is where Samantabhadra Bodhisattva appeared, and the Buddha light has been seen here many times. Caves and rock layers here show signs of prehistoric human life, and many Buddha carvings cut directly into stone. Old writings mention chanting sounds at night coming from deep inside the mountain with no clear source. High parts of the mountain are closed for safety reasons, but some believe hidden temples or old rooms may still exist there. Break time 3.0s. Gulangyu Island covers about 0.6 square miles and has over 100 buildings in European architectural style from the 19th century. Archaeologists found foundations from the Ming dynasty and a network of underground tunnels linking the main villas. These tunnels have ventilation and moisture control systems and are still intact after hundreds of years, though their purpose is unknown. A local legend says the island's name comes from waves hitting rocks and making a sound like ancient drums. People once heard the drum sounds on calm nights, even when there was no wind or storm. Many churches and schools built by foreign communities were renamed or repurposed later. Some old maps do not clearly show the origins or ownership of certain areas on the island. Mount Tai is a sacred mountain linked to the Fengshan ceremony, one of the most important political and religious rituals in ancient China. At least 13 emperors personally performed the heaven worship ritual at the summit of this mountain. The mountain still holds more than 2,200 stone carvings and inscriptions from various dynasties, with some over 1,000 years old and still readable. There are more than 7,000 stone steps leading to the top, all built by sand and still solid today. The rock layers of Mount Tai are about 2 billion years old, making them some of the oldest geological formations on Earth. Ancient people believed that watching the sunrise from the summit brought luck and long life. So many people still hike overnight to reach it by dawn. Wudang Mountain is a famous Taoist center and is known as the birthplace of internal martial arts in China, especially Tai Chi. The mountain is about 5,300 feet high, with steep cliffs and fast-changing climate due to elevation. Many paths on the mountain are only about 20 inches wide, with no rails, used for martial arts balance training. Some areas have weak magnetic fields that interfere with devices and were used by masters to train focus. Several martial arts masters lived in hiding here and left secret manuals that were never fully revealed. There are old stories about fighters moving short distances in the air using special techniques. The temperature can change up to 30 degrees Fahrenheit in one day, making it ideal for physical training. Mount Lu is about 4,800 feet high and often covered by fog and thick clouds throughout the year. The site is known for its many waterfalls, tall cliffs, and fast-changing views depending on the weather. It has rock layers formed over 500 million years ago, some containing traces of ancient sea animals, proving this area was once underwater. Legends say this was a place where monks and hermits trained to live forever, and thunder or clouds meant the presence of immortals. Some areas on the mountain are closed to the public, said to protect nature, but some experts believe there may be hidden caves or ruins. Mount Lu combines nature, legend, and archaeology, with many mysteries still waiting to be uncovered. The Yungang Grottos is one of the 3 largest Buddhist cave temple sites in China, built from the late 5th century during the Northern Wei dynasty. The site includes over 250 caves and about 51,000 Buddha statues carved directly into natural sandstone cliffs, with some statues as tall as 55 feet. The Buddha statues show a mix of Indian and ancient Chinese styles, with seated postures, thin robes, and spiral hair carvings. Advanced stone carving methods were used, including stone columns, carved ceilings, and walls filled with heavenly figures, musicians, and dancers. This site is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and strong evidence of the growth of Buddhism in early Chinese history. Katsuki Pillar in western Georgia is a towering limestone monolith where a tiny monastery was built more than 1,000 years ago. Its construction remains one of the great unexplained feats in vertical architecture. The summit, barely wide enough to hold a chapel, a cellar, and a dwelling, has remained structurally intact despite centuries of weathering. There were no bridges or scaffolding to access the pillar in ancient times, and how materials were lifted nearly 130 feet up the sheer cliff remains unknown. Katsuki Pillar challenges the limits of physical reach, spiritual intent, and structural logic within a space barely large enough for survival. Casas colgadas, or hanging houses, are iconic cliffside homes in Cuenca, Spain, built on the edge of a vertical gorge above the Hueca River, and they still puzzle engineers today, with their structural endurance. The buildings feature wooden balconies jutting out over the cliff, supported by beams and stone walls that cling directly to the rock face, an almost impossible design given medieval construction tools. What confounds researchers is the precision of the stone fitting and the well-balanced weight distribution achieved without modern measuring equipment. The main load-bearing system remains largely hidden, with some parts anchored directly into the bedrock without deep foundations. There are no complete records of their construction, and the original purpose of the buildings remains debated. Despite centuries of exposure to the elements, the Casas Colgadas still stands strong, representing one of Europe's most mysterious architectural feats. Hanging Monastery is an ancient religious structure built against a steep cliff in Shanxi, China, and modern engineers still cannot explain how it was constructed. Without any ground foundation, the entire monastery hangs by wooden beams driven deep into the rock face, with most of the structure projecting into mid-air. Notably, it combines Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism in one shared space, which is rare in Chinese architectural history. In 2010, during restoration, experts discovered a unique wooden locking system that keeps the entire structure stable without any iron nails or metal materials. Its location on a high, wind-prone cliff makes the construction even more puzzling. This is one of the few places that continues to amaze even the most advanced minds in modern construction. Paro Taksang Monastery, also known as Tiger's Nest, is a religious site perched on a vertical cliff in Bhutan's Paro Valley, and modern engineers still cannot explain how it was built. With no transport routes or machinery, all materials were carried by hand along narrow cliffside paths in extremely steep terrain. The architecture is perfectly balanced on the edge of a rock, where even a slight error could have caused collapse. According to legend, the site was chosen because Guru Padmasambhava meditated here on a flying tiger, though science cannot verify this claim. No detailed construction records exist, making restoration impossible if the structure were ever damaged. Paro Taktsang remains a major mystery in both construction methods and site selection. Peakcliff Palace is the largest known stone dwelling of the ancestral Puebloans, located in a canyon in Colorado, United States, and it remains a mystery in terms of construction. Built into a high rock alcove far above ground level, it would have been extremely difficult to transport materials and build. No evidence of pulleys or modern scaffolding exists, yet the ancient people created hundreds of rooms, corridors, and plazas with seamless connections. The walls are made of neatly cut limestone blocks placed tightly together without strong binding mortar. Despite harsh weather conditions, the structure has lasted over 700 years. Archaeologists still cannot explain why the Puebloans chose such a hazardous site instead of more accessible plains. Debre Damo is an ancient monastery perched atop a flat-topped mountain in Ethiopia's Tigray region, accessible only by climbing a rope up a sheer cliff, making it one of the most secluded and inaccessible places on Earth. What baffles engineers is how early builders transported stone, timber, and supplies up the mountain to construct and sustain life for centuries without any paths or lifting devices. Built in the 6th century, the monastery uses a stone and wood interlocking technique, unique to ancient Ethiopian architecture, and it has withstood earthquakes and weathering while preserving its original structure. No blueprints or construction records exist, and all technical knowledge has been passed down orally through generations of monks. The survival of such a complex in an isolated high-altitude setting is not only a spiritual symbol, but also a major unresolved puzzle in African highland construction history. Meteora is a complex of monasteries built atop towering rock pillars in Thessaly, Greece, where modern engineers still struggle to explain how ancient builders achieved such feats in near inaccessible locations. The monasteries were originally constructed using only ropes, pulleys, and wooden ladders to transport people and materials up the vertical cliffs. Remarkably, the structures sit entirely isolated from the ground, requiring decades of construction and extreme precision to avoid collapse. No construction blueprints or tools survive, yet the buildings remain stable after centuries. Some of the rock bases show signs of natural erosion, yet the foundations hold firm without shifting. Despite extensive research, Meteora continues to spark debate among archaeologists and structural engineers. The hanging coffins of the Bo people are one of China's most puzzling archaeological mysteries, with hundreds of ancient wooden coffins placed high on vertical cliffs in Sichuan province. These coffins rest at heights extremely difficult to access, with no signs of scaffolding or lifting devices, leaving modern engineers unable to explain how they were transported and secured. Some are placed in natural rock niches, while others sit on wooden beams embedded horizontally into the cliff face, remaining stable for centuries without collapsing. No written records exist about how this was done, and the Bo people who practiced this custom vanished from history long ago. The fact that these coffins still survive intact continues to defy technical explanation. Sumela Monastery is perched on the vertical cliffside of Mount Mela in Turkey and remains one of the most baffling ancient religious structures from an engineering perspective. Built directly into a steep rock face at an inaccessible height, there are no signs of old transport paths or scaffolding used during its construction. Many of its rooms, chapels, and corridors are carved into the rock, forming a complex system tightly anchored to the mountain. With no remaining blueprints or technical records, Sumela stands as a major mystery in ancient architectural engineering. Wangxian Valley in China is a mysterious site with steep stone walls featuring strange carvings, leaving experts unsure whether they are natural formations or man-made structures. Some rock faces exhibit smooth, straight cuts, resembling those made with modern tools, yet there's no evidence of machinery ever being used in this area. Massive stone blocks are arranged in layered or symmetrically aligned patterns, sparking debate about whether ancient civilizations could shape rock with intent. Some researchers suggest it might have been a ceremonial site or an unfinished project of a lost culture. No historical records mention the site's origin, and modern surveys have failed to explain the precise cuts. The town of Bonifacio sits atop a steep limestone cliff on the island of Corsica, France, and is one of the most astonishing construction feats that defy modern engineering norms. The old quarter stretches along the cliff's edge, with some houses jutting out over the Mediterranean Sea, appearing to hang in mid-air. Strangely, the shallow foundations have remained stable for centuries, despite constant wind and erosion. No ancient blueprints survive, and the original reinforcement methods remain unknown. Beyond technical concerns, the long-term settlement of Bonifacio raises questions about why early inhabitants chose such a dangerous site. The Mogao caves were built along sandstone cliffs, in a desert edge with dry air and big temperature shifts that helped preserve the art for over 1,000 years. The site has over 700 caves stretching nearly 1 mile and includes thousands of Buddha statues and wall paintings, some hundreds of square feet in size. Some Buddha statues are as tall as 100 feet, showing great carving and building skills for the time. In the early 20th century, archaeologists found a sealed library cave, closed for about 900 years, holding over 5,000 old texts, paintings, and records. A local story says a monk started the site after seeing a strange light on the cliff and thought it was a sign from Buddha. Many caves are still closed or blocked because of preservation needs or past damage. The Huangdi Mausoleum is the burial place of the first ancestor of Chinese civilization, located on high ground with ancient pine forests and surrounding mountains. The site has a simple but symbolic design, with thousands of pine trees said to be planted by the emperor over 4,000 years ago. A famous legend tells that Huangdi defeated Zhiyu in a major battle to restore order and was honored as the Son of Heaven. Recent archaeology uncovered ancient carvings and ceremonial tools made of stone and bronze dating back more than 3,000 years. Ground radar technology suggests an unexcavated pyramid-shaped structure may exist underground at the site. Some studies found the soil there contains an unknown anti-decay compound with unclear origin. Mount Huangshan is about 6,000 feet high, with hundreds of sharp granite peaks, deep gaps, and valleys forming a unique, rugged landscape. It is known for leaning pine trees, strange-shaped rocks, and clouds moving around the peaks all year, formed over millions of years. A legend says this place is where immortals made medicine and where Pangu first stepped when building the world. Certain rock samples show signs of high heat changes, suggesting some unusual geological events happened tens of thousands of years ago. Reports say that survey tools were once placed on the mountain but later removed without clear reasons. Old records also mention strange sounds from deep inside the mountain that still remain unexplained. The Summer Palace is a famous garden in China, blending nature with traditional architecture. It was built in the 18th century as a resting place for the emperor and his family. The architectural structures in the garden reflect the fine building skills of ancient Chinese artisans, combining traditional styles with Western influences. The Summer Palace is also linked to many legends and historical stories, such as that of Empress Dowager Cixi, who rebuilt and expanded the garden after it was destroyed. It is not just a resting place, but a cultural symbol of the power and prosperity of the Qing dynasty. The Summer Palace has been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, attracting millions of visitors to explore and learn about Chinese culture. The Temple of Heaven was where ancient Chinese emperors performed ceremonies to heaven, showing supreme power and connection to the sky. The entire structure was built from wood without using any metal nails and has lasted for hundreds of years. The layout follows the rule of round for sky and square for earth, with blue roof tiles for heaven and square stone bases for earth. All design elements follow the number 9, which represents the emperor's highest power in ancient Chinese culture. The most important ritual happened on the winter solstice, when the emperor stood alone on a stone called the Heart of Heaven to pray. The space was designed along a north to south axis and kept open without barriers for direct connection to the sky. The Western Qing tombs are royal tombs of the Qing dynasty, built on special land with mountains behind and water in front, believed to hold the imperial energy line. The tomb of Emperor Yongzheng was the first here, featuring layered, symmetrical architecture made from blue stone, with detailed and precise carvings, setting the model for later tombs. A folk tale says that when choosing this land, a golden snake was seen swimming across the stream and disappearing into the cliff, seen as a sacred sign. Until now, the area has never been officially excavated, but ground-penetrating surveys revealed many underground structures not mentioned in ancient documents. Some scholars suspect there may be secret burial rooms under major tombs that hold relics, ritual books, and well-hidden historical artifacts. Notably, no record clearly shows the exact location of underground entrances, and some theories say the original design maps were lost or hidden to stop later intrusions. Seda Monastery is one of the largest Buddhist institutes in the world, with over 40,000 monks and nuns living and studying there. It is located at an altitude of about 13,000 feet in a mountainous region with impressive natural surroundings. The institute was founded in 1980 by a senior monk named Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok, and quickly became a major center for spreading Buddhism. The small red houses of the monks and nuns are built by hand and cover the mountain slopes in a unique formation. The Grand Lecture Hall is used for festivals, teachings, and large group gatherings. One special practice here is the cremation of the dead according to old Buddhist rituals to guide souls and teach about impermanence. In just a few decades, Seda grew from a small community into a major spiritual center with influence beyond national borders, showing the revival of Tibetan religion and culture. Longmen Grottoes is a Buddhist site carved directly into vertical limestone cliffs on both sides of the river, creating a unique and striking setting. The construction began in the 5th century under the Northern Wei dynasty and continued for over 400 years across several imperial reigns. There are over 2,300 caves and about 11,000 Buddha statues, including one that is about 55 feet tall, showing ancient stone carving mastery. The statues show a blend of Indian and Chinese art styles, especially in the faces and clothing designs. Old records say emperors and nobles personally funded the work to express devotion and strengthen political power. Longmen Grottoes was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site and stands as strong historical evidence of ancient culture, religion, and engineering. Pingyao Ancient City is one of the few walled cities in China that still keeps its full defense and urban structure from ancient times. The city wall was built during the Ming dynasty, about 40 feet high and around 4 miles long, forming a nearly square shape. This city was a major financial center in China during the 18th and 19th centuries, where the first form of Chinese banking called piaoju was created. The buildings here are made of baked brick with curved roofs, stone-paved roads, and follow a classical layout style. Culturally, the city preserves Confucian values and folk beliefs, showing how old Chinese society was organized. In 1997, UNESCO named it a World Heritage Site for its unique historical, cultural, and architectural value. Mount Putuo is located in the sea and has a unique landscape that includes cliffs, caves, and coastline. The mountain has a large statue of Guan Yin that stands several hundred feet tall and faces the sea. As a symbol of protection, archaeologists found ancient bronze bells and Buddha statues from the Song and Ming periods buried under the rocks. Some parts of the mountain show strong magnetic waves and electromagnetic interference that affect modern navigation tools. There are reports of strange lights appearing at night near old temples, which remain unexplained by science. Old maps and books mention underground caves below the mountain, but their exact locations are still unknown. Mount Wutai has 5 flat peaks shaped like an open hand, a rare landform that holds symbolic meaning in Buddhism. It is believed to be the home of the Bodhisattva Manjushri and has been a major pilgrimage site for over 1,000 years. The mountain, formed through tectonic activity and erosion hundreds of millions of years ago, with an average height of about 30,500 feet. This region supports many plants and animals that survive at high elevations and in low temperatures. There are over 50 ancient temples here, including the Great White Pagoda, which stands around 160 feet tall and was built without cement. Legends say strange lights and chanting sounds have come from the mountain and are written in old books. Mount Sanking is known for a rare light event called Buddha light, where a glowing giant shadow appears in the morning mist. The granite rocks here look like mythical creatures, but they were shaped only by nature, not by carving. This area is about 30 to 80 feet high and has special plants and lichens not yet named by science. Researchers found that some rocks are arranged along patterns like yin-yang and 5 elements, but without human work. Ancient stone steps here were made without cement and have lasted through quakes and storms for hundreds of years. Satellite images show some rock clusters form symbols that look like ancient Taoist signs with no clear reason why. The bedrock in this mountain is over 1 billion years old and is one of the oldest exposed areas in China. The Sagada hanging coffins are part of an ancient burial tradition practiced by the Igorot people in the northern Philippines, where wooden coffins are suspended on steep limestone cliffs, baffling archaeologists and engineers alike. The coffins are secured with ropes and wooden pegs placed at heights nearly impossible to reach without modern climbing tools. There are no traces of scaffolding or pulley systems, even though some coffins are mounted dozens of feet above the ground. While the tradition holds deep cultural meaning, the technical method behind it remains unsolved. Ostrog Monastery in Montenegro clings to a sheer rock face, built entirely by hand in the 17th century without the aid of modern tools or equipment. What astonishes engineers is how the structure anchors to a vertical cliff with almost no flat surface for stable foundations. Its chapels and walkways are skillfully integrated into natural crevices and limestone fractures, creating a form both sturdy and erosion-resistant. Without steel reinforcements, the monastery uses traditional stone masonry and mortar, yet has withstood centuries of earthquakes and environmental stress. The only access is a steep, winding path, making material transport extremely difficult. Ostrog stands as a testament to human spatial ingenuity and environmental adaptation under extreme constraints. Rocamadour is a medieval town clinging to a vertical limestone cliff in southwestern France, where houses, chapels, and sanctuaries are layered upward along the rock face. Instead of flat foundations, buildings rely on natural ledges, cracks, and slopes in the cliff to support their weight. Without reinforced concrete or steel frameworks, the entire complex remains stable through centuries of erosion, strong winds, and minor seismic activity. Narrow paths weave through the structures, distributing load and channeling rainwater efficiently. Living quarters and sacred spaces are ingeniously embedded into various rock levels, adapting precisely to vertical terrain. Rocamadour is a rare example of vertical urban design where architecture blends seamlessly into the geological contours of the cliff. Civita di Bagnoregio is a village perched atop a fragile rock formation in central Italy, slowly eroding yet mysteriously stable despite its soft, collapsible base. The town stands isolated in a valley, but its real intrigue lies in how its stone buildings remain intact while surrounding cliffs disintegrate. Though the ground is made of soft volcanic tuff and clay prone to landslides, structures show little tilt or fracture. Ancient builders likely distributed weight strategically on more stable geological cores hidden within the eroding rock. Civita di Bagnoregio reflects a rare blend of traditional architecture and intuitive geological adaptation in a vanishing landscape. Manarola, a seaside village in Italy's Cinque Terre, stacks brightly colored homes atop steep coastal cliffs, creating a stunning scene that still challenges modern engineering logic. The rock base beneath the homes is fractured and slanted, requiring builders to anchor each structure into uneven seams to maintain stability. Despite the lack of deep foundations or steel frameworks, the interlocking layout of the houses forms a naturally stable network, like stone hooks latching onto one another. Below, layered bedrock absorbs year-round wave impact and tidal shifts, yet the village shows little sign of erosion. Each home is positioned to capture light and shield from strong winds, reflecting ancestral knowledge perfectly adapted to the terrain. Manarola is more than a fishing village. It is a living structure where folk engineering meets geological defiance. Wadi Dowan Valley is one of the most unique settlements in Yemen, where tall mud brick buildings rise directly from an arid desert, baffling modern engineers with their durability and construction methods. These multi-story buildings, reaching up to 6 or 7 stories, are made entirely of rammed earth with no concrete or steel framework, yet have stood for centuries. They are built tightly along mountain slopes and in geologically unstable zones where water is scarce and winds are strong year-round. No technical records detail the construction process, and locals preserve the ancient methods through oral tradition and hands-on practice. The vertical architecture contrasts dramatically with the flat desert landscape, creating a visually stunning and puzzling setting. Surveyors still cannot explain how ancient builders managed moisture control and structural stability in earthen buildings. Abuna Yamatagu is a church carved directly into a vertical cliff face in Ethiopia's Tigray region, located at an almost unreachable height that astonishes modern engineers who cannot explain its construction. Reaching the church requires climbing narrow paths and sheer rock walls without safety gear, where a single misstep can result in a deadly fall. Inside, centuries-old frescoes are painted directly on stone and remain remarkably preserved without any modern protective systems. There is no evidence of scaffolding or metal tools having been used to build at such elevation. Abuna Yamatagu stands as a striking example of ancient engineering far beyond modern understanding. Sant'Agata dei Goti is an ancient Italian town, known for its stone houses built directly on the edge of a vertical cliff, forming an architectural wall that baffles modern engineers with its foundation and stability. The buildings appear to rise straight from the cliff face, without visible buffers or large base structures, yet have remained stable for centuries despite ongoing erosion below. Remarkably, the entire town sits on ancient basalt layers, but it remains unclear how multi-story buildings were constructed on such unstable geological ground. Sant'Agata dei Goti stands as proof of ancient building knowledge that current science still cannot fully replicate. Azenas do Mar is a seaside village perched on a steep cliff in Portugal, with white houses cascading toward the ocean's edge in a layout that puzzles modern engineers. The houses cling to coastal rock faces that are constantly battered by waves and face erosion risks, yet they have remained stable for centuries. There is no sign of deep foundations or modern erosion control, making it hard to explain how early builders calculated structural load and salt resistance. Some homes sit just steps away from the cliff edge, yet remain unshaken even during powerful storms. No ancient architectural plans or construction documents have survived, and full foundation surveys are difficult due to the terrain. Azenas do Mar stands as a striking example of improbable harmony between harsh natural forces and traditional building techniques. Castellfollit de la Roca is a small village in Catalonia, Spain, built along the edge of a vertical basalt cliff, leaving modern engineers puzzled about how stability was ensured centuries ago. The old houses are perched right at the cliff's edge, where just a few steps separate them from a sheer drop. The volcanic rock terrain provides a natural platform, but also carries fracture risks over time, making the original reinforcement method unclear. No medieval blueprints or construction records exist, and many building foundations have never been fully inspected. Some walls were built directly on the cliff edge with no visible secondary supports, yet they have survived for centuries through minor earthquakes. Castelfollit de la Roca remains an unsolved mystery in ancient urban architecture. Siurana is an ancient village perched atop a steep limestone cliff in Catalonia, Spain, where its construction site is nearly impossible by modern engineering standards, leaving experts puzzled about how it was built. Surrounded by tall cliffs, with only one narrow access road, the entire settlement rests right on the edge of a deep gorge. The stone buildings are tightly fitted onto the rocky base, with no visible signs of deep foundations or external reinforcements. No technical drawings or historic records remain, and surveyors still cannot fully assess the underground structural layout. Remarkably, the walls have remained stable despite centuries of harsh weather and minor seismic activity. The combination of extreme terrain and enduring architecture makes Siurana an unresolved mystery in ancient European construction. Tengboche Monastery is located in the high Himalayas of Nepal and serves as the most important Buddhist center in the Everest region, while also puzzling engineers with how it withstands extreme conditions. Built on a narrow plateau surrounded by mountains, the monastery endures constant threats from snow, rain, and seasonal landslides, yet has remained intact for over a century. Its architecture blends traditional timber framing with local stone, forming a durable structure without a clearly understood load distribution system. After severe damage from the 1934 earthquake and a major fire in 1989, it was rebuilt almost exactly as before, using only the memory and skills of local craftsmen, without blueprints. This precise reconstruction raises questions about whether a lost architectural technique was involved. Tengboche is not only a sacred site, but also a challenge to modern understanding of mountain architecture and cultural preservation. Oia is a coastal village on Santorini, Greece, built along the steep rim of an extinct volcanic caldera, where the unstable terrain raises questions about how ancient people manage construction and daily life. The village's iconic white and blue homes are layered tightly into the cliffs without deep foundations or steel reinforcement common in modern architecture. Many narrow paths are carved directly into the volcanic rock, forming a connected layout that required no machines or architectural plans. Houses are positioned to maximize light and airflow, naturally adapting to the island's hot and dry climate. Despite frequent earthquakes in the region's history, Oia's structures have remained intact, without major overhauls. The blend of beauty, resilience, and topographic adaptation makes Oia an astonishing example of ancient civil architecture. Ronda is an ancient city perched atop towering cliffs in southern Spain, split by the narrow El Tahoe Gorge, turning its entire urban layout into a major challenge for modern engineers. Stone buildings sit right at the edge of the precipice, with foundations embedded into fractured limestone, an unstable base unless carefully reinforced. A highlight is the Puente Nuevo stone bridge, completed in the 18th century, which spans the deep canyon and has remained intact for centuries without major restoration. No detailed records exist describing how the foundations were placed between steep rock faces, and no modern construction in the area has replicated the technique. Additionally, several older structures in Ronda are oriented precisely to optimize wind and sunlight, reflecting an advanced environmental understanding. Ronda is not only a cultural landmark, but also a living example of ancient engineering that still defies technical limits today. The hanging coffins of the Toraja people in South Sulawesi, Indonesia, are among the world's most unusual burial customs, representing both cultural tradition and an unresolved technical mystery. Wooden coffins are placed or suspended on vertical cliff faces, some more than 30 feet high, in spots with no clear access paths. There is no evidence of scaffolding, pulleys, or lifting systems, leaving researchers puzzled about how these heavy structures were elevated. Some coffins are wedged into natural rock crevices on uneven and slippery surfaces, yet have remained secure for generations. Today, the tradition is fading, and the remaining coffins stand as living artifacts of a vanished technical craft. Masuleh is an ancient village in northern Iran, built along a steep mountainside where the roof of one house serves as the courtyard of the house above. An architectural layout that modern engineers still cannot fully explain in terms of load distribution and drainage. The terrain is extremely steep, with many walls and walkways resting directly on bedrock, without deep foundations or reinforced frames. The village's pedestrian-only pathways are so logically organized that residents navigate easily between levels without needing maps. Despite facing heavy rain, snowfall, and landslides, the village's structure has remained stable for centuries. No ancient documentation exists for its phased construction, and all building and repairs have been done through oral tradition. Masule stands as a refined example of architectural adaptation to extreme terrain, untouched by modern techniques. Thixi Monastery is a prominent Buddhist complex in Ladakh, India, built in terraced form along a rocky slope, giving the appearance of tightly clinging to the mountain. What stands out is that the structures lack deep foundations or modern materials, yet they have remained intact for centuries in a dry, windy, and unstable terrain. Each level is designed to face natural light, using the slope to allow ventilation and heat retention, an architectural feat that modern planners find difficult without advanced modeling. Beyond the terrain, some corridors and main halls are aligned with traditional spiritual acts, though no one has fully mapped their geometric relationships. The absence of detailed construction records and the large scale of the monastery make Thixi a mystery in high-altitude spatial planning and execution. Gordes is an ancient village built into a limestone hillside in Provence, France, where stone structures are stacked along steep slopes in a way that modern engineers still cannot fully explain in terms of load distribution and erosion control. Without deep foundations or contemporary retaining walls, the houses have remained secure for centuries despite frequent rain and landslides. Many buildings are made from untreated local stone, yet are interlocked precisely along the terrain's incline to form a naturally stable network. No medieval zoning plans survive, and most of the layout resulted from generational craftsmanship rather than centralized design. From a distance, Gordes appears to blend into the rocky hillside, blurring the line between human construction and natural formation. It stands as a prime example of architectural harmony with landscape that modern techniques have yet to replicate. Gibraltar is a rugged mountain region in northern Ethiopia, known for its ancient churches carved directly into sheer rock cliffs, many of which are located in areas nearly impossible to access without modern climbing gear. What puzzles archaeologists and engineers is how ancient builders transported materials, painted murals, and shaped prayer chambers within solid stone at such extreme heights. Some churches are only reachable by clinging to cliff edges and crossing ledges less than 1 foot wide, yet their interiors feature finely carved domes and stone pillars. No historical records exist about their construction timeline or methods, and these structures have remained intact for centuries despite minor quakes and wind erosion. The combination of vertical placement, precise rock carving, and sacred spatial design makes Gibraltar one of the most unexplained architectural achievements in East African history. Setenil de las Bodegas is a unique town in southern Spain where many houses are built directly into sandstone cliffs, using the natural rock as roofs and walls. Instead of constructing separate roofs, builders incorporated the overhanging rock itself into living spaces, creating semi-subterranean homes with natural insulation. These structures remain cool in summer and warm in winter without needing modern heating or cooling systems. Ancient residents used the terrain not just for shelter, but as a core structural element, reducing the need for materials. Ingenious ventilation and light access prevent dampness, despite the homes being in direct contact with stone. Setenil de las Bodegas exemplifies a seamless integration between human dwelling and natural topography. Lamayuru Monastery in Ladakh, India, is built atop highly eroded rock spires, where soft, fragile stone forms an unstable base, yet supports an ancient monastery. The entire structure seems to hover above the valley, balanced on disconnected rocky outcrops. Its architecture uses a gravity-tiered layout, distributing load naturally down the slope instead of forcing it onto foundations. Builders adapted the terrain to divert rainwater and reduce landslide risks, while thick local stone walls absorb seismic vibrations. No documented construction techniques exist, but the monastery's endurance suggests sophisticated geological awareness. Lamayuru exemplifies how extreme topography can be turned into a base for sustained habitation and spiritual life. Positano is built into steep seaside cliffs in southwestern Italy, where houses cascade down the slope in terraces facing the Tyrrhenian Sea. The town is known for its pastel-colored buildings and greenery that blend harmoniously with the rocky coastal environment. In the 1950s, Positano was economically declining until a famous article in Harper's Bazaar made it an international travel sensation. The town's origin is still debated. Some believe it was founded by refugees from destroyed Roman cities during pirate invasions in the medieval era. Builders used deep foundation anchoring and thick walls to prevent landslides on the sloped terrain. Narrow walking paths and staircases connect housing clusters, forming an urban system without the need for large streets. Chaco Canyon, located in New Mexico's desert, holds a complex architectural legacy built by the ancestral Puebloans over 1,000 years ago. What puzzles researchers is not just the scale, but the precise astronomical alignment of buildings without modern tools. Structures like Pueblo Bonito are oriented with solar and lunar cycles. Doorways, walls, and passages align with solstices and equinoxes. Sandstone and timber, used in construction, were transported from over 50 miles away without draft animals or wheels. Walls feature double-layered stone packed with earth, creating natural insulation in the harsh climate. The coordinated layout of many buildings across a vast plain remains one of the canyon's greatest unsolved mysteries. Alila Jabal Akhdar is a resort perched on Oman's Al-Hajar Mountains, where extreme terrain and climate inspired a design rooted in ecological harmony. Unlike typical resorts, it uses local mountain stone, assembled with traditional techniques to enhance sustainability and minimize emissions. Cross-ventilation systems, sloped roofs, and thick materials create interior comfort without heavy energy use. The structure follows the natural contours of the land, avoiding flattening and preserving native vegetation and water flow. Stones serve not just as walls, but as wind barriers and load-bearing foundations. Alila Jabal Akhdar is a successful example of eco-architecture functioning within harsh, mountainous conditions. Angkor Wat lies in the flat central plains of Cambodia, surrounded by tropical forests and ancient canals, forming a balance between natural and man-made landscapes. Its layout is strikingly symmetrical, with a towering central spire surrounded by layered corridors and auxiliary towers forming rectangular geometry. In the 19th century, French explorer Henri Mouhot stumbled upon the site, which was nearly hidden by thick jungle. The original purpose of the complex remains debated. Some believe it was a religious temple, while others think it represents a miniature cosmic model. Construction methods remain mysterious, especially how massive stones were transported from distant locations without modern tools. The masonry technique used no mortar, yet the structures remain tightly bound and remarkably durable. Machu Picchu is located on a high mountain ridge in the Andes, between two deep valleys and surrounded by dense cloud forest, forming a dramatic highland setting. From a distance, it blends with nature through grey stone walls shaped by terrain, sunlit terraces, and scattered ancient structures arranged in order. In 1911, American explorer Hiram Bingham rediscovered the site, long hidden by moss and absent from global records for centuries. The purpose of Machu Picchu remains unclear. Some believe it was a royal retreat. Others think it served as a ceremonial astronomical center. Its construction is impressive. Stones were precisely carved and fitted without mortar, resisting earthquakes. A hidden drainage system was designed to handle erosion on the steep slopes. The pyramids of Giza in Egypt are among the world's most iconic ancient structures, yet they hold enduring mysteries about their construction methods. Millions of massive stones were precisely aligned without modern lifting equipment or advanced tools. The Great Pyramid of Khufu aligns nearly perfectly with the four cardinal directions, a feat unexplained by known ancient techniques. Inside lie narrow shafts, chambers, and passages, arranged with exact geometry, some still unexplored and without clear function. Granite blocks used in internal rooms were brought from quarries hundreds of miles away, raising questions about transport and cutting. The alignment and gravitational balance of this colossal structure continue to baffle modern engineers. The Colosseum in Rome is not only a Roman Empire symbol, but also showcases advanced engineering with features still not fully understood. Its radial corridors and stairways allowed over 5,000 spectators to enter and exit quickly without crowding. Below the arena lies a hidden system of elevators and platforms, powered by gravity and mechanics, without engines or electricity. Its foundation was built with vibration-absorbing materials, dispersing force from thousands of moving spectators. Arched ceilings and column arrangements evenly distributed weight, preserving stability for centuries. Though the canopy is gone, the original retractable shading system remains a debated mystery among researchers. Al-Khazneh is carved directly into rose-colored sandstone cliffs in a narrow canyon in southern Jordan, appearing suddenly after a winding journey through towering rock walls. The surrounding landscape is raw and dramatic, with sunlight hitting the facade only at certain times of day. Its beauty lies in the blend of Greco-Roman architecture and Eastern motifs, featuring Corinthian columns stone statues, and perfectly balanced carvings. A notable fact is that famous adventure films use this site, spreading its image worldwide. The original purpose of Al-Khazneh remains debated. Some believe it was a royal tomb. Others suggest a treasury or temple. Technically, it was carved from the top down, a rare approach requiring precise scale control on a vertical rock face. The Great Wall of China stretches across mountain ranges, deserts, and steep valleys, reflecting strategic thinking and construction management far ahead of its time. The wall impresses not only by its continuous length, but also by its adaptability to varied terrains, from solid rock to shifting ground. Some sections made of compacted earth have withstood centuries without collapse, puzzling modern engineers about the original load distribution design. A Western expedition once uncovered an underground ventilation system linking watchtowers, although no historical records mention such features. Despite geological changes over time, many wall segments remain stable, challenging today's efforts to replicate ancient engineering techniques. Stonehenge was built on a flat plain with open space, making it ideal for observing the sky and the movement of the sun during the year. Large stone blocks are arranged in circles and arcs with balanced spacing and proportional design, showing precise planning from ancient times. In 1923, archaeologists discovered several burials and stone tools at the center of the structure, proving that organized burial rituals once took place here. To this day, the true purpose of Stonehenge remains unclear, with theories ranging from astronomical calendar to ritual center for community gatherings. A remarkable fact is that stone blocks weighing dozens of tons were transported from over 30 miles away and erected without any known mechanical equipment. The one-pillar pagoda was built in an open space with a pond and trees around, creating favorable conditions for observation and ritual activities. The pagoda's structure is unique because the entire building is supported by a single square stone pillar placed in the center of a pond, with wooden beams carefully arranged above. According to historical records, the pagoda was commissioned by King Li Tai Tong in the year 1049 after a dream involving the Bodhisattva of compassion, reflecting ties between religion and royal authority. Besides being a place of worship, some theories suggest that the pagoda symbolizes political stability and centralized power through its single-pillar form. The construction technique combines a deep-set stone pillar with a wood framework using mortise and tenon joints, allowing the whole structure to stand without any additional supports. Kailasa Temple was carved directly from a solid basalt rock in a mountainous area with steep cliffs and an almost isolated surrounding landscape. The structure was shaped using top-down carving, with the entire temple, statues, columns, and roof cut as one continuous form from a single rock. According to traditional records, King Rashtrakuta ordered the temple built to fulfill a promise to the queen, and the top-down method was chosen to speed up construction. A major mystery is that hundreds of thousands of tons of removed rock left no clear traces, making the excavation process still unexplained. The construction technique shows a deep understanding of natural rock uniformity, with all structures precisely calculated without using external supports or joints. The Banyat Towers sit atop a hill in Vietnam's Binh Dinh province and represent one of the most remarkable Cham architectural complexes, raising enduring questions about ancient construction techniques and spatial planning. Built from fired bricks, joined without visible mortar, the towers have withstood harsh weather for centuries while maintaining their original form. What astonishes researchers is that the brick surfaces show no plastering, and the joints are so tight they seem fused by a technique still not fully understood. Their hilltop location holds religious significance and also offers strategic views over the vast plains below. Despite damage from wars and time, many of the tower's intricate carvings remain intact, revealing the Cham artisans' advanced craftsmanship. To this day, the precision of brick firing and placement seen at Ban It has not been completely replicated, making the site both a cultural relic and a structural mystery. Falling Water is a modern architectural masterpiece designed by Frank Lloyd Wright in the 1930s, famously built over a waterfall in Pennsylvania, and still regarded as a major engineering challenge. The house features massive concrete cantilevers that extend beyond the rocky ledge without vertical supports from the stream below, creating the illusion of a structure suspended in mid-air. Though modern in style, the design has long sparked controversy due to its susceptibility to sagging and cracking under tension forces that push material limits, prompting reinforcement efforts years later. Falling water stands not only as an artistic icon, but also as an unresolved equation in structural physics. Koh Loa Citadel, located on the outskirts of Hanoi, is one of Vietnam's oldest defensive structures, with its three concentric spiral-shaped ramparts, puzzling archaeologists and engineers alike. The earthen walls, each stretching for miles and built entirely by hand, have retained their shape and structural integrity for over 2 millennia. Experts are particularly intrigued by the rampart's resistance to erosion and collapse, despite the absence of an apparent drainage system. The spiral layout served not only for defense, but also for internal movement control, an urban design rarely seen in other ancient Southeast Asian cities. Archaeological findings reveal mass-produced bronze arrowheads and alloy traces, suggesting a highly developed military and metallurgical system. Newgrange is a prehistoric passage tomb in Ireland's Boyne Valley, dating back over 5,000 years, and remains one of the most debated ancient structures in terms of construction methods and cosmic purpose. It features a large earthen mound with a stone passage leading to a central chamber where sunlight penetrates only during the winter solstice, a level of astronomical alignment requiring advanced measurement systems. What amazes engineers is the corbelled stone roof, which fits so precisely that it remains completely waterproof without the use of mortar. Building materials such as pebbles, boulders, and white quartz were sourced from areas dozens of miles away, yet no one knows how they were transported. Intricate spiral carvings on the stones appear to relate to celestial cycles, though their meanings remain largely undeciphered. Newgrange stands not only as a burial site, but also as a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering and cosmic understanding. Independence Palace, located in the heart of Ho Chi Minh City, is not only a symbol of Vietnamese history, but also an architectural work that continues to intrigue engineers with its ahead-of-its-time design from the 1960s. Built on soft soil, the structure has remained stable for over 50 years without requiring major foundation reinforcement. Its use of thick walls, natural ventilation corridors, and concrete sun-shading screens reduces heat without air conditioning, an early application of bioclimatic design. Beneath the palace lies a command bunker with thick reinforced walls and blast-resistant doors, constructed manually yet comparable to modern defense standards. Independence Palace remains a rare blend of historical symbolism and technical sophistication. Sanchi Stupa is one of the oldest surviving Buddhist monuments in India. Yet what truly sets it apart is not just its age, but its astonishing engineering and spatial orientation far ahead of its time. The entire hemispherical dome is assembled from stone blocks without mortar, resting flawlessly on a gentle hillside without tilting, sinking, or cracking over thousands of years. Its four elaborately carved gateways, aligned with the cardinal directions, are not only artistic masterpieces, but also evidence of precise astronomical and spiritual planning. The bas-reliefs on the gateways depict scenes of life, legend, and Buddhist symbolism, though many intricate details remain undeciphered. Scholars are baffled by how such massive stones were lifted into place at height without mechanical assistance. Sanchi Stupa stands as both a sacred emblem and a silent challenge to modern engineering logic. The Theatre of Marcellus in Rome is a semicircular structure completed in the 1st century BCE, notable not only for its scale, but also for its ingenious fusion of performance architecture and advanced urban engineering. Unlike other ancient theatres, its three-tiered design incorporated both public seating and integrated systems for circulation and drainage through vaulted corridors woven between primary load-bearing walls. Remarkably, the lower stone tiers still retain their original form and load distribution function, even after centuries of medieval buildings being constructed on top. The use of dry-laid arches and keystone blocks allowed the entire framework to lock together without collapse, an ancient principle that modern engineers continue to study in restoration work. The Theatre of Marcellus stands not just as a Roman ruin, but as enduring proof of multifunctional spatial design centuries ahead of its time. Crazy House in Dalat, Vietnam is an architectural anomaly that defies geometric logic and continues to spark debate among modern architects regarding its structural coherence and long-term stability. Ignoring conventional design rules, the entire building flows like a massive tree with winding staircases, irregular windows, and organically shaped hallways that interlock seamlessly in 3 dimensions. Walls and ceilings are made of sculpted concrete, crafted by hand to mimic natural forms like roots, caves, and oversized mushrooms. Despite its asymmetric design, the structure remains resilient in Dalat's humid and foggy highland climate. Lacking a fixed blueprint, construction evolved through the spontaneous intuition of architect Dang Viet Nga, a method many engineers deem unorthodox. Crazy House stands not merely as a residence or tourist attraction, but as a bold confrontation to the norms of modern construction logic. Beneath the sea, near Japan's Yonaguni Island, lies a colossal mystery. Rock formations so sharply cut and structured, they blur the line between nature and lost civilization. Massive stone terraces, flat platforms, and right-angled steps stretch across the seabed, forming a submerged monument that defies simple classification. Some sections appear to be staircases, corridors, and foundations, too geometric for randomness, yet with no artifacts or carvings to confirm human origin. What astonishes experts is the sheer precision of its surfaces and the clean separations between blocks, which seem beyond the reach of erosion alone. No tools, inscriptions, or construction remnants have ever been found, only silent symmetry beneath the waves. Yonaguni remains suspended between science and speculation, a monument to everything we still don't understand. Yu Imperial City was not only the political heart of Vietnam's Nguyen dynasty, but also a rare fusion of Eastern cosmology and Western military engineering. Its layout follows the Vauban fortification model, with star-shaped defenses and strategic gates, yet every structure aligns with strict geomantic principles rooted in yin-yang and the 5 elements. The brick and earth ramparts absorb impact instead of deflecting it, a method of shock absorption that modern materials still struggle to replicate. Surrounding moats and gates double as flood control channels, managing rainwater and protecting the city from seasonal inundation. Despite wars and centuries of wear, large sections of the original structure remain standing without full restoration. Hu is not merely a relic, it's a fortress that endures by design, built with a level of foresight few modern cities can match. The Parthenon atop the Acropolis is more than a symbol of ancient Greece. It's a structural riddle where no line is truly straight, yet every detail appears flawlessly aligned. Columns are subtly curved, the base is slightly domed, and the spacing varies. Deliberate optical corrections that create visual perfection when viewed from below. These adjustments were made without modern tools, using only manual measurements and deep architectural intuition. Engineers today still marvel at the precision required to execute such invisible corrections across massive marble components. Despite centuries of earthquakes, wars, and partial destruction, the building's balance remains remarkably intact. The Parthenon is not just a temple, it is a masterclass in manipulating perception, executed with skill that modern science is still trying to fully decode. Saigon's central post office is not just a landmark of French colonial architecture, it's a technical marvel where decorative beauty conceals extraordinary structural precision. Its iron vault system, designed by Alfred Fulhu, was hand-assembled without central pillars, yet distributes weight flawlessly across the vast, arched interior. Despite its wide span, the building has no echo, indicating precise acoustic planning that predated modern sound modeling. Skylight panels filter daylight through upper glass windows, keeping the space naturally lit without electricity, an early example of sustainable design. After decades of war, humidity, and urban change, the original metal frame has not warped or fractured. This post office isn't just functional. It's a rare harmony of engineering and elegance built without digital tools.